Right, good morning. Welcome to the iThink 365 webinar on discovering the future of productivity with Copilot for Microsoft 365 and agents. It's great to have you here this morning. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules. And we look forward to kind of showing you Copilot for Microsoft 365, lots of demos, and get you thinking about how it might apply to your business. Right, let's move on to the first slide. Just briefly, I'm Simon Doy, founder of iThink 365, sort of wear many hats, but sort of CTO, CEO. Been involved in IT for sort of a few years, an MVP, a few certificates, get involved a lot in the community, run a user group called M365 North with Sam Hudson and Dylan Hayes, part of the maturity model for Microsoft 365 team, which if you haven't seen the maturity model for Microsoft 365, it's helping businesses kind of understand what the impacts are of Microsoft 365 to their business. So have a look. Also part of the Viva Explorers. I'm going to hand over to David Harvey.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name's David. Thanks for the introduction, Simon. I've been in IT for around 15 years, a lot of different hats again, support, development, first line, second line infrastructure. And I've been at iThink just over a year now as a Power Platform developer. Looking forward to doing a few demos today for you all.
And then we hand over to me. I'm David Davies. I'm head of modern workplace here at iThink 365. Been using SharePoint, the main technologies in Microsoft 365 for about 25 years now, which does make me a very, very old man. But let's move on with the rest of the presentation. So what are we going to be looking at today? Well, first of all, we're going to be looking at why. Well, why are we here? Well, what is it that's going to make us all jump on this Copilot and AI bandwagon? We're again going to do some definitional stuff. What is generative AI? What are Microsoft Copilots? We then, there's always some issues around, is this going to be safe? Is this something I should do? And we're going to cover that as well, in the is my data safe section. We're then going to move on to, well, what kind of stuff can you do with it? We're going to do a series of demonstrations, so a series of videos of things that we've got pre-cut. I think you really enjoy that bit. We'll then start to think about, we've talked about what it can do. What kind of things can't it do? We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves and just kind of like go whole hog on something that isn't going to be perfect for us. So, we'll kind of like temper those expectations a little bit at the end as well. We'll then start to look at what the future of Microsoft Copilot looks like, the rise of agents having a chat-based experience with your Copilots. And then we're going to discuss how you can actually go about preparing for this, how we can help you start on your Copilot journey. So at this point, I'm going to hand back over to Simon, and he's going to take us through the why.
Right, yes. So, there's no point in doing any of these things unless we've got a reason why it is we're doing that. So, firstly, what is the business impact? So these are, recently we had Microsoft Build and at Build, there were a number of stats released. So the main thing is competitive advantage, the competitive advantage you can get with generative AI tools. And so organizations, this was a manufacturing business and a number of manufacturing businesses, were seeing a productivity increase of 40% in their employees. And this is huge. Productivity has been stagnating in sort of the third world, in main first world countries, particularly and in the UK, for the last sort of 15, 16 years. And so now we're starting to see, generative AI being able to boost that productivity. The other side of it as well is reducing cost as well. And the same business was seeing a cost reduction of 40%. And, if you imagine, you're this business and your competition aren't doing it, and you're getting 40% reduction in costs and 40% productivity increase, how is that going to speed up, and how quickly are you going to start pulling away for your competition? So it's really important that we look at how these tools are coming in, and they're moving very quickly, but how we look at how we can apply them to our businesses so that we can take advantage of it and we're not left behind. Yeah, the next slide, please. So it's not all about the business as well. Of course, it's got to be about users too. And in sort of recent surveys, users have said that they felt 70% more, 70% of the users felt more productive when they were using Copilot for Microsoft 365. An example of that is that when they were looking to catch up on meetings which they missed, they were 4 times faster to catch up on those using Copilot for Microsoft 365. So, this is what we want to show you. We'll show you how these tools can help you get that competitive edge. And the thing is all of this stuff is moving quickly. So generative AI is getting smart quickly. And this was an article that was sort of shared around sort of the community a few weeks ago. And it's looking at the speed of these GPT models. So generative AI, we're talking about open AI models. We can see here this graph. It's showing us how how quickly they're evolving. So we've got, down at sort of 2019, GPT-2 is like a preschooler. And then as we're moving up from GPT-2 to GPT-3, a year later, then it's becoming an elementary school. And then the shift, and it's quite a dramatic shift up to a smart high schooler with GPT-4. And what is next? GPT-4o was released about a month ago. There's GPT-5 is rumored to be being worked on as we speak. And the smartness of these engines is ramping up quickly, and it will be interesting to see where it gets to over the next year. And will you have PhD level type smarts? And we just got another way of showing that is just where as you're seeing the difference, the shift with each GPT model, and where could that get to? And if you kind of look at it a different way, and often, they when they're training these models, they're using common exams to show how intelligent these models are. You can see the shift from GPT 3.5, which was launched in November 22. Take that uniform bar exam, being in the 10th percentile, and then GPT 4. Not a year later, 6 months later, being launched. And it being in the 90th percentile, and you can see the results coming through all the way through there. And the big one to pick out was a lot of work which went on to GPT-4 around sort of the math side of things, and you can see how that calculus has shifted up. So you really get these AI tools are getting smarter quickly, and that will feed into kind of our thinking and what we talk about when we get to the future of AI. The other thing as well is looking at how the adoption speed of generative AI. If we look at this graph, which is showing us sort of from the 1900s, the pickup of modern technologies, the first one we've got is electrical power, which took, around about 50 years to reach, full adoption. We've got the refrigerator, which is getting a little bit quicker, around about 30 years. Computers, social media, much quicker. Social media really within, around about 10 years. Generative AI, the ChatGPT, was within a month. It shifted from nothing to having, I think it was 150 million users within that month in November. So the adoption speed of generative AI is really quick, and people, want this technology. They want this capability in their workplace. So, the other part, and the reason why they want that is that it helps. Generative AI helps level the playing field. It helps each of us to access a broader skill set, because we can start using some of the capabilities of the generative AI. If we had a PhD level AI available to us to ask questions, then how is that going to help our day to day? It helps us be more creative. We often we find in our business it helps us kind of start from that. Right, I've got something new to do. I'm fire up Word. That's blank page. What do I, how do I get going? It also helps, speed up discovery of knowledge and information, and we'll show some demos around that, and also the analysis of information. And with the newer models, GPT-4V, which brings in that multimodal video, you can start getting AI to look at images and video and analyze what's on that page and come back with suggestions. So, analyzing stocks and shares, for example. So I'm going to hand over to David D, who's going to tell you a bit about what is generative AI.
Before I start on this little bit, don't forget that there is actually a Q&A option. So if you want to ask us any questions, and we've got the lovely Yvonne. She will punch me later for saying that, who is going to be fielding those questions for us. If there's anything that we can respond to during the session, we will do, but we're also able to take those questions offline and respond to them later on. But back to the slide. What is generative AI? Well, as it says there, the clue is in the name. The artificial intelligence, yeah, we understand that, but what's the generative bit? It's generating content. It's generating new content in response to prompts that you feed it. So you are saying, give me a document based on this. You're asking it questions, asking it to perform tasks, and it uses a whole raft of training data to recognize patterns in what you're asking it for. So if you say, create a presentation on Copilot, the wonder who may have done that, not us, this is all handcrafted, by the way. But if you ask it for a presentation on Copilot, it's going to go away and say, okay, well, what's a presentation? Okay, I know what that is. What's Copilot? Okay, I know what that is. And then it's going to use that model to generate the content that you have asked it for. Okay, so that's the key thing here. It's generating new content for us. Right, so going to hand you back over to Simon. He's going to explain what Copilots are in Microsoft 365.
Okay, so what is Copilot for Microsoft 365? Well, the first thing is, ChatGPT was brilliant. It is great, but the problem with it is it's another application, and it's living almost in another ecosystem. And what Copilot for Microsoft 365 does is it brings the OpenAI model, and it's a version which is running in Microsoft's cloud centers, and it's using their responsive AI, so it's got safety controls around there, and it brings generative AI into the Microsoft 365 tools. So those tools that you use every day, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, it brings that ChatGPT like functionality into your tools. And the thing that's really brilliant about it is it grounds the generative AI on your data. So it has access through something called the Microsoft Graph to your emails, to your chats, to your files. It also builds up a picture through the graph of knowing who you communicate with, who you have meetings with. So it's able to understand, what is more important to you, because if you ask it a question about a particular document from Yvonne, for example, or from a David, and we've got two Davids, it will help know, right, I understand what David's role is, David D's role is, I know what David H's role is, and I can return back the more relevant results. So it uses something called the semantic search. The other important thing is, and we'll sort of talk about this more, is that your data is secure. These prompts, they never leave your Microsoft 365 environment. Your data doesn't leave the Microsoft 365 environment either. And we have got a little diagram which we can show. I won't go into it too much, but this is the architecture of the Microsoft 365 Copilot for Microsoft 365 platform. We have the ability on the left-hand side to extend the platform as well, so we can bring in plugins. We can use the Power Platform, which allows us to implement business processes and extend. So the Copilot has access to your line of business systems and your data. And it's on the right-hand side, we've got the large language model, which currently it's using GPT-4 Turbo. We've got this thing called RAI, which is responsible AI, and it's all within your tenant. It's all kept within your tenant. Your data does not leave this platform. Right. We'll move over to the next page and move over to David D, who's going to talk about your data.
Cool. So is my data safe? You know, you've always got to be thinking that in the background. You know, is there anything that I'm doing that makes my data less safe than it should be? And Copilot is obviously going to bring in a whole new set of those kind of feelings of insecurity about this kind of stuff. Because, you know, if you set anything up incorrectly, there's always a chance that there's going to be some security issues. And Copilot's no different. But the good thing about it is that because of the way that you should have your Microsoft 365 environment set up anyway, if you've done that properly, a lot of the issues that you could have with Copilot disappear. Okay, so should we be worried about our data being compromised by the use of Copilots? I.e., if somebody in the marketing department runs a prompt that says, in Excel, give me a table of everybody's salaries in the organization. Okay, it could go away and do that. The only issue that we've got is that that person in marketing would not have the ability to run that query because they will not have the ability to see that content. And the thing about the Copilot is when you run a Copilot, when you generate a prompt, the content that it generates in return is based on your security position. So if I don't have the ability to run a search for a document that's going to show me everybody's salaries, okay, because that's only in the HR or finance departments and I don't work for them, then Copilot is not going to return that content to me. Okay, so if you've started from a secure baseline, okay, you've got your data classified correctly, you know, through the use of data protection label, through the use of sensitivity labeling, okay, through the use of comprehensive security application. You know, only people that need to be able to edit stuff can edit it. Only people that need to be able to read stuff can read it. If you've done that, a whole raft of these issues just disappear. Okay, so the issues will come from incorrect classification and incorrect permissions, as I just mentioned. So, from looking at a wider environmental point of view, one of the things that Simon mentioned earlier on was that it uses your data. Okay, and I've mentioned it as well. You know, so if I ask it to produce information about our, let's say, our clients, okay, it's going to look at the client data within our tenants, within our environment. And that's as far as it goes. It never uses that prompt to try and train ChatGPT or any of the OpenAI stuff. It never sends the results, the generated piece, out anywhere other than to you, the person who generated the prompt. Your data always stays as your data. Okay, it's never commingled with the rest of the OpenAI models at all. It always just stays yours. If you wanted to kind of like turbocharge the security on this and not just rely on your security posture, you can use DLP or data loss prevention policies. You may be familiar with these in Microsoft 365 already, giving you the ability to say, do you know what, you're not allowed to send emails with national insurance numbers or credit card numbers. You know, you can limit how data moves outside the organization. You can do a similar kind of thing with DLP policies on Copilots. You can say, do you know what? We're going to allow Copilots, but only for people in these departments. We're only going to allow Copilots, but only against data in SharePoint, not against data in OneDrive, not against data in external websites. So you have the ultimate control over how these Copilots are actually accessed by users and what they can actually do once those prompts are being generated. So we're now at the fun bit. You know, what can you do? Okay, we're going to look at the ways that we can use Copilots within pretty much every single part of Microsoft 365. The first thing we're going to look at is Copilot in a meeting. Now, we're all used to recording our meetings and going back and looking at the transcripts. With Copilot, you have the ability to do that live within the meeting. You may have seen the Microsoft adverts with the person go, oh, I can be in 3 meetings at once. This is how, because you can join a meeting and just say, give me a recap, tell me everything that's happened up to now without having to read through the entire transcript. Copilot can do that for you. In this example, I'm doing that same kind of thing, but based on a meeting that's been recorded already, and I'm doing it inside Microsoft Stream, which is where obviously your meeting recordings are actually stored. But you can do the same kind of thing in Teams just by going to the meeting host hoc. So just a quick video on this.
David, do you just need to share sound?
Oh, sorry. Right, okay, so that was me not sharing sound. Marvelous. I knew that there would be. Oh, okay, so
At least we're not on mute. At
least we're not on mute. Yeah, that is it. Okay, so
you can use Microsoft Copilot to help run meetings and
yeah, that's it.
assign actions.
Can you hear it now?
It gives you a set of starter actions, as you can see here. You can also ask Copilot to give you information about the meeting directly. I'm asking it to generate a set of meeting notes that I can use. As you can see, it has given me a set of the key topics discussed, as well as a list of action items that I can readily turn into Microsoft Planner tasks.
Okay, so looking at that kind of example, you can save an awful lot of time just looking at these action items. Okay, being able to look at this and go, oh, okay, I need to do this. David H needs to do something else. Yvonne needs to do it as something different. I'm going to move on with this kind of like slide deck thing here, convert the proposal into a PowerPoint slide deck for the presentation. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do kind of like slight inverse of that though. One of the generative things that I find really useful in Copilot is the ability to say, you've got this document, do something else with it. So what we've got here is an example where we're going to use a PowerPoint slide deck to generate a handout.
Using Copilot for Word, you can generate documents using existing collateral. I'm asking it to create a handout from a slide deck. When I click Generate, it analyzes the slide deck and populates the Word document with the requested content. I've sped this up to save time. Once it is done, you can either make changes manually or request the Copilot make stylistic alterations as I'm doing here. I want to make it less formal. Copilot will then use your suggestions to alter the already generated content. I've sped this up to save time. Copilot can also be used to analyze existing documents to generate summaries. Click the Copilot button at the top right of the window. Summarize this doc is a ready-made option. It then creates a summary of the document that you can copy and paste to use as an overview in an email or message.
So you can see how easy it is using these Copilot built-in tools and the built-in prompts to generate new content based on existing collateral that you've already got. So I'm going to move on now. We're going to look at Copilot in Teams. So I'm going to hand over to Simon for this bit.
Thanks, David. If we could move to the next slide. So what we're going to see in this demo is the extensibility. So this is Copilot for Microsoft 365, and in here it's an app within Teams through the chat interface, and we can extend Copilot for Microsoft 365 to use something called plugins, and they allow Copilot to talk to other systems or other knowledge bases. And we've had a couple of questions around, being able to find knowledge. And is it running there, David? I don't think it's running. Oh, it's running it. Yes. And so we're going to ask it a question. This Copilot is linked to law data. And so we're going to ask a question around, what can you tell me about duty of care? And the plugin is going to pull information from our tenants, from our company, but also we've switched the web plugin as well. So it's going to pull information from that. And we're going to get citations and links to the content that's coming from. So we can see here that it's duty of care is a legal obligation that requires individuals, blah, blah, blah. But what we can do is we can start extending Copilot and integrating into our other systems, which might have knowledge information. It might have other processes and systems. We can also, whilst we're doing it, we're also, we've asked it about something to do with legal. We can also ask it to help us with personal productivity. So because Copilot for Microsoft 365 can see our emails, it can see our Teams messages, then we can ask it questions to help us be more productive. So this question is, what emails have I received in the last 2 days that I should respond to? And it's going to then comb through those emails. It's going to run through those emails, and it's going to pull out emails which meet those criteria. And we're going to get results back from my tenant about important emails which I've received in the last 2 days, which I need to respond to. So you've got, a lot of functionality here to help us be able to access information which in a timely manner, but also to be able to use it for productivity, to be able to help us get things which are important done more quickly. Right, moving on, we're going to have a look at another Copilot. So one of the things we talk about Copilot for something. Well, Copilot.
In this example, we're looking at
for a sales team.
In this example, we're looking at Copilot for sales. Similar to a custom Copilot, Copilot for sales is role-focused and is a tool that supports the sales team in getting their job done. With Copilot for Sales, it supports Dynamics 365 or Salesforce CRM systems. The tools works with Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Outlook. As you can see in Outlook, we've got the ability to connect emails with your CRM. As you can see, this email is related to an opportunity. We get a summary of an opportunity down the right-hand side. We can also use Copilot for Sales to draft an email, which is what we're going to have a go at right now. So let's draft an email. I put together in the prompt a couple of statements, which I'd like to make sure the Copilot uses when creating the email. I can adjust the draft, including length, the formality of the language. I can even suggest a meeting time down here. Right? That looks great. Let's suggest some meeting dates and times which Copilot has pulled from my calendar. I'm just going to take this out here. I'm going to cut that out. If I copy that, paste down there, take this out here, and then respond back. So Jeff has responded back, and he's given us an idea of a budget that he's got. Again, we can see in the email here, we've got that summary of key points from that email, and also the information on the opportunity. Copilot has plucked out that there is some information to update the opportunity with, so I can go and update this opportunity now. So let's do that. So we'll just search for the term custom and pick out that, and I'm just going to put in 2,000 in this example and update the opportunity, and there I have just gives you a quick overview of what Copilot for Sales does. To recap, it allows salespeople to have better visibility into their leads and opportunities, improve how they respond, and be able to respond promptly to customers' requests. Additionally, it makes it easier for sales to keep up to date with the conversations going on with that customer.
So yeah, that was talking about Copilot for sales. So that a Copilot which is very specific for a sales role. We're going to move to Outlook now and a demonstration of Copilot in Microsoft Outlook.
Hi, so we're going to take you through Copilot in Outlook. So we have a fictional email thread here, a conversation between myself and Jeff, who is requesting a sales quote and a call about a new project they've got. I've opened this email up and I can, at the top, get a summary created by Copilot. This is going to give us a summary of the main points of this email thread. It is so useful to be able to summarize several emails into one small set of bullets, but I can also use Copilot to do so much more, including being able to generate content. So if I click on Draft with Copilot, I can then start to draft a response back to Jeff. I can change the tone of what is created and make it more formal, change the length of the email. For this email, let's keep it direct. So let's create an email saying how we are looking forward to meeting about his Microsoft Graph project. In the prompt, we will highlight what we want to cover, including an example agenda for the meeting. This is really useful, isn't it? So Copilot is now going to go off and generate the email draft. Let's see what it has done. And see how it's pulled out the fact that we're going to meet at this time. It's not mentioned the month, so we will need to fix that. Let's update the prompt to say that we want to move the agenda items into a bullet list. Let's see what it does. So yeah, that has done it. So we will keep that email and we can adjust the date once it has been generated. I'll put it in 12th of June right there. In this example, we have shown you how to quickly create an email with Copilot in Outlook.
So there we go. We talked through Copilot in Outlook. We're going to move on to Excel now, and I know there's some accountants and financial people in here, so they'll like this. If we move on to the next slide, please. This is going to give us an example of Copilot in Excel. We've got a spreadsheet here with sales information. You can see sort of across the sort of on the left-hand side, we've got market segment, we've got country, product, and I can start asking some questions around. If we could just hit play, please. Thank you. We can start asking questions, and the first question we're going to ask is, how many products have we got in the spreadsheet? So Copilot in Excel is great for analyzing information. Sometimes it can take a couple of goes. You might have to tweak the prompt to get the right information, but we're going to ask it how many products are there. And so it's going to run, generally runs, creates charts or runs pivot tables to kind of do this work, and then gives us a result back. So we get the result there saying there are 6 distinct products in the financials table. So that's great. So we've got that. We're going to move on to something a little bit harder. Which products are most profitable and in which country? So we have to use the names of things which are in our spreadsheet. It will work out, if you say product or products, or it will work out your intent. So this time now it's created a chart based on the sum of profits, and it's going to use that to give us a result back saying, in France the most profitable product is peso with a total profit of 838,000. In Germany the most profitable product is Velo. So moving on, we're going to start getting it to help us compare one area with another. So we're going to ask it to tell us how many units were sold of Montana in Canada, and did Canada sell more than the US? So a little bit more complicated. This is great that you can really start using these tools to analyze this data and get it to do a lot of that work. And you can see how quickly you can start becoming productive. And the challenge is knowing that these tools are there and understanding how you can use them and making sure you use them. So this time now we've got a summary of units sold by country, and we can see the US is sold more than Canada for that product. The last one we're going to do is around, please can we compare year-on-year sales by product and country. So I want to make sure that that the sales are going up year on year. Have we got any areas which we need to areas of the world which we need to be worried about? Maybe we need to do some investigation of why it is that those sales are dropping. So we're going to get this lovely pivot table. And once we've got these, we're going to get a nice response back. But I can click on, for example, add to a new sheet, and that's going to add in that pivot table into a new sheet onto my Excel spreadsheet. So, allowing us to quickly create that. And I don't know about you, but pivot tables, it always takes me a couple of goes to get it right of what I'm looking for. And with Copilot in Excel, I don't need to think about it quite as hard as I did. So that is an example of Copilot in Excel. So if we can move to the next slide, please. Just wanted to bring up, David, could we move? That's it. Lovely. Just want to bring up, we've got a call to action here. We are offering 5 complimentary 1-hour consultations. So, the person who was talking about freight forwarders, and if you've got examples, we could sit down with you and understand what your challenges are and come up with some ways to solve them. We're doing it based on a first come first serve. So please register your interest using the Q&A feature, and then we'll take down your details and we'll be in touch. So that's what we're doing today. So as you're looking through these demos, just have a think about how they could be applied to your business. Right, moving forward. Could we keep moving forward? Past. Okay, custom Copilot. So a custom Copilot is something which is a special Copilot which is a very specific purpose. So it might be we've done the ones around the law industry, and it might be that we're talking about, for example, right. HR. So in this demo, I'll pass on to this demo. It's me talking about Copilot for HR. So a Copilot that's specific for an HR department. Run VT, please. So we've got a custom Copilot, a Copilot that's tailored for interacting with HR. So I'm going to click on this little button down here, and it's going to log us in automatically. And this Copilot is a custom Copilot. It's tailored for working with human resources information, and it can see documents and content on this human resources department site, and allow it to reasons over that information. The thing about a custom Copilot, what's good about it is that it's tailored to a specific purpose. Some of the challenges with Copilot for Microsoft 365 is that because it can see all the information, it can sometimes be difficult to get the correct answer back and the specific answer that people are looking for. Custom Copilots, because the scope is smaller, you generally get better results back. So I'm going to ask it some questions, and then let's see how we get on. So what can you tell me about flexible working at iThink 365? And so, it's using GPT-4 Turbo, I believe, to reason over this now since Microsoft Build a few weeks ago. And it's going to give us an answer back. What's nice about it is it gives us citations. So we've got links here to where this information has come from, and that would open up in a new window. I won't bother doing that, but it allows that. But we can start asking it questions. And what's really nice about it is you're asking a question in natural language and you're getting a response back in natural language as well. As well as being able to reason over content in documents and policies. You can imagine this, if you're an insurance company or a finance company, being able to kind of quickly get answers to questions about how things work in that business is really, really powerful. We can also extend this custom Copilot to talk to business systems, line of business systems. And in this example, we're talking to the HR information system. So I can then ask it questions like, how many days holiday do I have left? And it's going to go and talk to that system. Now, actually, what's really clever about this is that we haven't told it really how to do or how to respond to that, how many days holiday do I have left. What we've done is we've created these things called actions, and it's something called dynamic chaining. But what happens is we tell it, we've got this action, here's what it can do, and here's how to use it. Here's the inputs it needs, and here's the outputs that come out of it. And the idea is then that the AI can work out which actions to call based on what the user is asking for. So that's what's happened here. I could also ask it, say, who is off in June? So now it's going to kind of work out again, it actually needs 2 dates, but it's going to work out that June means the 1st of January 2024 to the 1st of January and the 1st of June 2024 to the 30th of June 2024. So it's able to work that out. You can also do things like who has booked Christmas off. Let's see what this does. So now we've got slightly, we're giving it an idea of what's Christmas. So now we're hoping that it should give us use the date the 25th of December 2024. So during Christmas, the following people have booked off. So we've got David and Dan have both booked this time off. So you can now starting to see the generative AI is reasoning over that user prompt and being able to work out the date based on not actually providing the date, but working it out itself, which I think is really, really powerful, and some of the advantage of using these dynamic chaining and these generative AIs to help find the answers to your questions. So much, much smarter than traditional chatbots could be. But anyway, that's a quick demo of a custom Copilot. Right, so in this demo, we've got David, if you could move that on, that'd be lovely. So yeah, that was just an example of a custom Copilot and using Copilot Studio to build that. I'm going to hand over to David Harvey, who's going to talk about Copilot and automation using the Power Platform.
Yeah, so hello again, everybody. As you've seen this morning, David and Simon's already given you a couple of demos about Copilot that's perhaps already in product, which is Word and Excel, and Simon touched on it there about how we had a custom one to do with our HR. So I'm going to show you a demo now in a fictional company called iThink Cakes. So what we're hoping to show you now is we've got a company here that bakes and distributes cakes. Currently, the company has one mailbox that takes all customer queries, whether it's sales, orders, buy-in, complaints, just general customer queries. At the moment, if you imagine, staff have got to triage and forward these emails on to relevant departments, and I'm sure everybody in this meeting will have this kind of headache where they've got people triaging and spending perhaps time that could be better spent responding to customers and dealing with the queries rather than sorting through them. So what we've got here is a new Copilot setup. So what we've trained this Copilot to do is triage and redirect the emails. So the current setup at the moment is if you imagine there's 3 Microsoft teams, which are sales, buying and customer services. So that's the department. And there's going to be 3 mailboxes. You've got the sales, the buying and the customer service mailboxes. So bit of a live demo. So just to talk you through that a little bit again, you've got the inbox here. That's where everything comes in. That could be your sales at iThink Cakes, general queries at iThink Cakes, that kind of stuff, all falling into this mailbox, although I've emptied it so it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. Then you've got 2-3 other mailboxes here. You've got your buy and your customer and your sales departments. In teams here, you've got your 3 separate teams. We've got the sales team, the buying team, and the customer team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this email. So this is going into my development account actually, but if you imagine this is the general queries email, we've just got a simple email. I'm having a children's birthday party on the 2nd of July. I need to buy some cakes for it. Are you able to provide a birthday cake with 20 cupcakes? That's going to go off to the mailbox. So what's the Copilot going to do now? Well, what it's going to do is it's going to look at this email once it receives it. It's going to analyze it and look for key parts of the email, such as, does it need a reply? Is it a new email? Is it a question? Is it a sales order? What's really interesting about Copilot, and I'm personally quite excited about it in the kind of nerdy way, is it can use sentiment and analyze it for things like the tone of the email. It can sense the priority of the email. It can generate a summary and a potential reply that we can send back to the customer. What's also interesting is, as I think David either has touched on or will go on to touch on, about what AI is good and what it's dangerous about it. Yeah, I don't want the Copilot to acknowledge anything that could be a pain further down the line. So if a customer comes in and says something along the lines of, this order is terrible, I don't like it, I don't want the Copilot to agree with it. I just wanted to take a little bit of the email, generate an email reply, and send that back to the customer. So what that's doing at the moment, while I check to see that it's going through the motions. Yeah, so it's running at the moment. So what I expect to see in a couple of seconds is an email come through to this chat. And this isn't part of the Copilot. This is to kind of just show you guys who are watching what the Copilot's doing and what kind of information it's going to pull out of the email. So if you just bear with us. This is the part of live demos that are the fun part. I suppose you can see from this one here that the kind of information that it's pulling out, it's seeing as if it's a new email. It can see if it's urgent. It can see if it needs a response. It can see if it's a potential customer order, sales order, and things like that. So what we can do with this information, utilizing the Microsoft 365 suite, such as Power Automate, we can then create a Power Automate flow in the background that will use this information to pass it along and deal with an email. So if it sees that it's a customer order, it'll send it to the sales department. If it sees that it's urgent, it'll flag it as urgent. If it sees it as a complaint, it'll send it to the customer, the customer department also. So what I've got, because I thought it might take a little bit of time, is I've just got some examples for it. So this. If I just go back to me, for example, here, this is one of the urgent emails. So we've got an email here where children's birthday party is in the title and it's got next day delivery. And it's saying that I'm having a child's birthday party tomorrow. I need to buy some cakes for it. Are you able to provide a birthday cake with 20 cupcakes with next day delivery? Copilot's read that email. We haven't done this. It's doing it on its own. And it's noticed that the urgency is high. It also sees that the response is needed. It's seen that it's a potential customer order. It's seen that it's a question. It's not. It hasn't picked up any order numbers. There's no order numbers in there. It's seen that it's a positive tone. It's sales. They want to work with us. They want to buy something from us, and it's given us a summary there. So what that'll do then with the Power Automate, with that information that the Copilot's passed through to it, it'll then send a message to the sales team just to say, you've got an potential urgent sales item here. Gives it a bit of a summary of what's going on there. and then the sales team are alerted to that email coming in the inbox. What else it can do, it can then move that email into the sales mailbox, tag it as urgent because it's seen in the sentiment analysis that it's an urgent email. And then what's pretty cool is that it can reply. So this is going back to when I was saying I don't want the Copilot to commit anything. I don't want it to say, yes, we can definitely have them cakes to you on time, but it can notice that it was from David. It can also mention what's happened in the email and what's been mentioned and wanted, and that its inquiry is being forwarded to the relevant department. Just another couple of examples I can show you to do with that is, this is a customer query. So please help me. I've ordered some cakes to be delivered today. I pay next day delivery and they've not arrived. My order number is that. So again, you can see that the Copilot has seen it's a new email. Urgency is high. It does need a response. It's not a complaint just yet because the customer query more than anything else picked up that it's a question. This time it's picked up the order number that's in the email, but the tone is negative because the customer's, waiting for their order. And there's the summary. So again, this time the Teams has been sent a message. The customer team's been alerted. Urgent query from David Harvey. It's mentioning that tone's negative. Picked up the order number out the email, saying that the urgency is high. What it's done with that email again is tagged it as urgent, but also flagged it. So again, this is Power Automate using those triggers that we've just seen before to mark the email. And again, sends a customer an email. Again, pointing out that we don't want the Copilot to, again, admit or deny anything that's gone on. It's just a simple reply, but it's still quite a human reply rather than the auto-generated one you might see. And the final example, which is something that I had to put in, was obviously a customer complaint. So again, we've put the order number in there about the poor quality of cakes and mentioned that it's not acceptable and they want to talk to someone about this. Again, the Copilot read that email, saying that urgency is high, needs a response. Notice this time it's picked up that it is a complaint by looking at the language, it's not acceptable. Needs a response because I want to talk to someone about this. Picked up the order number, but picked up that the tone's negative. Again, like previous, the customer team will be alerted, possible complaint, the customer's tone's negative, urgency is high, and it's been marked as high priority. Just finally, again, this has been moved to the customer inbox. It's tagged it as a complaint. So the Power Automates noticed that that is complaint is true and tagged it as a complaint and also flagged it. And again, send an email. Thank you for reaching out to us regarding the quality of the cakes you received. We appreciate your feedback and take your concerns seriously. So you can kind of see there that the Copilot is doing a lot of triaging. And if you think of how many staff or how much time will be taken sending these emails and triaging them, you can understand why it is quite a powerful tool. And one of the things that I'm quite excited about is learning and using the prompts to get it even more refined. So hopefully it's got you thinking there about what more it can do. It's a kind of generic example, but I'm hoping that a lot of people here can see, if it can do that, I wonder if it can do this for us. And if you think there is something it can do for you, just please get in touch because I can't wait to work with it a little bit more. So I'll hand back over to Simon now.
Thanks, David. Well, we're just going to have a look about and talk about what it can't do. So, the first thing to say is that Copilot for Microsoft 365, it's the worst AI that you're going to have. It's always getting evolved. It's always improving. But it isn't magic, and what it's creating you can't fully trust. You need to review the outputs that these LLMs are creating, these generative AI tools are creating, before you pass that on to your customers or your colleagues. At the moment, the generative AI with these GPTs are prediction engines. They're looking for patterns in the data and predicting the next element. However, they are becoming smarter, as we saw at the start of the presentation. Where there isn't a huge amount of interaction is between the different Microsoft 365 services. It's not there yet. One of the audience asked about creating Visio diagrams from user guides, that sort of thing. So some of those things aren't there, but I'm sure that some of those things will start coming as this service and product evolves. move to the next slide, please. So let's have a little look into the future. And the first thing is talking about multimodal. So what the heck is multimodal? Well, it is the ability that generative AI can reason over not just text, but also video and speech. And it's the video which is really interesting. We're seeing examples of OpenAI looking at being able to generate video from a prompt, which is fascinating and still needs a lot of work. But that area where an AI can reason over video in real time and give you feedback. Imagine you had an AI that was trained, with your top salesperson and supports a junior in that sales meeting to help them close that deal and provide them with guidance, sort of as they're speaking to the customer. These agents, that's where it's really interesting. If we can move over to the next slide. So in this example, we're just going to see.
Hey, Copilot, how's it going?
AI agent.
Hey, I'm doing great. It looks like you're about to dive into some Minecraft. Ready to build, explore, and maybe dodge a few mobs?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to make a sword. My son plays this game all the time, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
No worries. I'm here to help you impress your son. I see you've got a crafting table in front of you, which is a great start. To craft a sword, you'll need some materials. Can you open your inventory? Just press E on your keyboard.
Yeah, do I have what I need?
Let's see. You've got some sticks, perfect for the sword's handle, but it looks like you're missing the material for the blade. You can use wood, stone, iron, gold, or diamond. Let's start by gathering some wood or stone. Shall we head out and find some resources?
Yeah, that sounds great. Oh my God, what's that?
Oh no, it's a zombie. Run. You need to get away from it fast. Either sprint away or quickly build a tower of blocks straight up to get out of its reach. If you can find a shelter or dig into the side of a hill, do it now. Just make sure it can't reach you.
All right, I think I might be safe now.
Cool. That was a close one. Great job finding shelter.
It's really cool to see that.
So that was an example of, in that demo there, we were seeing an AI, GPT AI model reasoning over video in real time and helping that dad show off to his son in Minecraft. And, it's incredible that the processing power must be incredible to do that, but having that ability to watch video and help and support the person in their day-to-day tasks, that is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to move on to sort of more future thinking. So the next is talking about agents. So an agent is an AI model, and it's acting on behalf of a user. So in this example, we start seeing users being orchestrators of agents. Imagine that this user is maybe in marketing, and they've got AI agents for the different social media platforms. Maybe there's a LinkedIn agent which goes out and starts finding potential leads, and a Twitter agent, or an X agent, or an Instagram, or a TikTok, or a whatever it might be. So the user can go out, send its agents out to go and do work, and then get the results back. The important thing again though is that the user, these agents are working on behalf of that user, and so that employee needs to QA the work that's being created by those agents. But this is kind of what we're starting to see. So again, if we had an agent supporting us in a meeting, maybe it's we're looking at doing a requirements workshop. We've got an agent supporting us and making sure we ask the right questions and haven't forgotten anything. Just giving us that support, like an employee would. So that's kind of where things are going, and there's a lot of work to be done here, but it's really interesting to see where that comes. The next one is AI generated flows. So this is something which is coming to the Power Platform. But imagine if you could tell your AI, here's all the things you can do, and then allow it to understand how to use those capabilities. So, the example we saw with the Copilot for HR was that we'd told the AI that it had a way of getting people's birthdays. It had a way of getting people's who was away on holiday. And then the AI, you don't tell it how to put these things together, but based on what the user's asking for, maybe, for example, did I book my birthday on holiday? It could put those things together in the right order to give back a result. So the AI generates those flows, and then it decides, and the AI decides on how to solve that user's request. Okay, so moving on over to how can you prepare for this? Well, first of all, you need to ensure that you've got your workspaces set up and secured appropriately. So these might be your SharePoint sites, your Teams sites. If you have deployed our Internet Accelerator, then you're well on your way, because we separate those two things out nicely. You also, with Copilot for Microsoft 365, it's reasoning over large corpus of data, and if there are SharePoint sites and Teams which have data in them which are no longer needed and old, then it's it's going to reason over that as well, and that may give you slightly not such good results. So you might need to tidy those up as well. The thing is about these tools, Copilot for Microsoft 365, it uses search to give you results back. So anything that you can search and find, Copilot can too. So you just need to make sure that you've got your data secured. Things like financial information, salaries, that sort of stuff isn't visible. I mean, people can find it now if they can find it, but Copilot makes it even easier to find that information. How else can you prepare? Well, start thinking about where you can use these tools. So, we talked about in Copilot for HR, knowledge. So, what data stores have you got? Knowledge data stores have you got? Have you got third-party systems which have got a lot of information and knowledge in them? Legal have things like iManage, for example, which has all their documentation in. Look at as David H showed, what bottlenecks might you have in processes? Are users having to copy data from email into your business systems? Maybe it's it's processing email as well, and identifying those cases which need urgent attention. The other part of this as well is thinking about as we start to look at agents and accessing these line of business systems, they need to have an API. And so you need to have a way to talk to the business system. And if the AI is going to be able to really leverage that API, it needs to understand how to use it. So they need to be described. There we can help and talk to you about that. And the other part as well is thinking about making sure that they're secure as well, so that they can't be accessed by people who shouldn't be able to access them. But also we can make sure that we understand who should be able to access and what access they've got into that system as well, so that they don't get access to information, even if they can log in to information they shouldn't have. Okay, go to the next slide, please. So to get started, start a pilot within your business. Look at those areas of the business where there's some creativity. You might buy a few Copilot for Microsoft 365 licenses with a small group and start using those. Start those users using Copilot for Microsoft 365 and think about that change in adoption. So, what you want to do is understand, where these tools can help improve things in your business. And one way of doing that is creating a community area. If you've got Microsoft 365, you'll have Viva Engage. There is a Microsoft Copilot community template available. And in that, people can then talk about what successes they've had, what's working well for them, but also ask for help with others, within that community. So creating that community is a great way of driving the adoption and driving the change and finding those success stories. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, We've got 5 complimentary 1-hour consultations. I think we've got maybe 1 or 2 left now, but please register your interest using the Q&A, and it's based on a first come first service, and it's just available today. So do that now. We offer often, with these tools, with Copilot, we get asked questions. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? This stuff is very new, and often no, we haven't tried your particular idea, but we offer proof of concept projects. So a proof of concept is going to be the way to really delve into whether your idea or your challenge can be resolved with generative AI, and we do 5 or 10 day proof of concept projects. And the way it works is we would meet with you, talk through your idea, and then give you whether we think it's something that can be achieved in a 5 or a 10 day time frame. So please email Yvonne if you've got an idea and you want to explore that idea. Okay, on call to action, I see we've run over now. So you can get, if you're Yorkshire based, you're in 40% and funding on that. But anyway, we'd love to get your feedback. Thank you very much for watching. I'll let you get your day back. Apologies we've run over. And have a great day. And if you could use this QR code, we'll be sending this as a link out, and we'll stay on and keep running the Q&A for a bit longer. And answer any questions we haven't done.